Excuse me, miss. I work very hard for my coin, so unless you're putting out, we gonna split the bill. Hey everyone, name is Aaron James. Welcome to my channel. That intro was totally a joke. Please do not at me. The lovely Tynesha Talks, or Tynesha Renee, made a video recently and it asked some pretty good questions, not just for men, but for everyone. Men have this idea that their date owes them something just because they pay for dinner. By the way, I obviously do not mean all men, and I feel that I shouldn't have to say this, but we all know that there's that annoying kid in the back that goes, "Not me, I'm not like other people." Tynesha also brings up that men end up having to fund a lot of the, if not most of the dates, at least in the beginning, particularly because it's expected, right? Even I do it. I mean, I pay for most ventures with a significant other. Any person that's expecting something in return for paying for food, taking you out, paying for a drink at the club, and expecting something in return, whether it's a date, your phone number, sex, or just money, is not really someone worth investing your energy in anyway. I say that first before I ask this question, right? Just so no one misinterprets it. What is my date providing or bringing to the table if I'm the one funding the date? Personally, I do not want someone that's going to stick around or even put out just because I am paying for most things. For me, a date is an investment, right? I'm getting to know someone. It's an investment for potentially something more. I have company. I have someone to bounce ideas off of. And I'm able to avoid sitting at the bar. I do not like when I go somewhere to eat, try some good food, but they end up having me sit at the bar just because I show up alone. Miss Renee addresses that men and women do not perceive or view dates similarly in a lot of cases, and that women do not view dates in a logical sense, right? Seeing that their value is not equal to the amount of money their date may have, particularly when it comes to their bodies. I will make one point to say that men also do not think logically in a lot of cases, especially when it comes to romantic partners, but I do not disagree with her. So let's make an example similar to the one that she made in her video. And I'll put myself in this. I do a few dates with this person, let's say 3 to 4 dates. Let's say each one is $200 a date or an experience, and then we make the sex. After a couple more dates of making the sex and probably doing it more than once, I decide maybe this is not working out, maybe something that I recognize in the person that I'm dating, that it won't work for me, or I see that we're not as compatible as I initially thought. I've actually had a similar experience to this where I ended up wanting to move on, and the woman was heartbroken. The thing about this situation was the first thing she addressed was she couldn't believe that she gave up her body to me. I will address that many people do not really share their intentions, or they lie about their intentions and do not share what they're looking for or what they expect out of any interaction. And that leads to a lot of people feeling manipulated, used, hurt in some way or another. But those type of people, obviously scum, we're gonna put aside outside of this example. Now this woman, maybe, wow, I said this woman very aggressively, huh? The woman I dated or ended up breaking things off with did not consider how I felt or what I was seeing, or that I wanted to more so move on, and this was more so to protect myself and my own well-being. What was important to her is that she gave up her body to someone else, and this added to her body count. And that's something a lot of women, justifiably so, concern themselves with. This all goes back to men and the lovely patriarchy. While as a man, I can continue racking my numbers up, and this is seen as a little issue or not an issue at all, women are many times judged, called many names that I don't want to say, for doing the same things, are seen as less value, having less value, and their value depreciates the more people they end up sleeping with. Before I go on a rant on how shitty we are as men, I will address a little bit of how many women also support this idea. Because of this judgment many people have, women end up restricting themselves of their desires and pleasures and fantasies, the same ones that many men are able to experience and enjoy, and they themselves many times end up telling daughters, nieces, friends not to do these things, and they end up judging a lot of women that do this, and they view these women as someone who is pretty much just crossing themselves out for the running for certain men. It makes sense because a lot of women do not want to disqualify themselves from an opportunity to be with a certain type of man who does follow this idea that women are of less value the more people that they're with. Every person who bases your value off the number of people you slept with is not worth your time, but this usually is the case for women, and it's easy for me to say this as a straight cis man. I am aware, so there are some things where I won't speak on and I'll just shut up. But let us run it back a little bit. I have succumbed to the pressures of society, and I pay for most dates and pay for things for my significant other, and am willing to be the driver, fill up the tanks for both of us, and so on and so forth. Whether I think this is fair, equal, whether the person is worth that, it doesn't really click on the forefront of my mind. I ignore that logic just because society expects me to do these things, so I do them. Because this is expected from so many people, I end up doing it because I do not want to seem not suitable in the society, don't want to be called brokey, trash, or even less of a man. That last one does hurt because it is a part of my identity and how I identify myself. And if I choose to identify myself as a man and I do not fit your category of a man, then it ends up questioning, what am I? I, like many others, want to be seen as suitable in our society, and I may not expect anything like sex or even money in return, but I do purchase things to show my affection towards women. I do this because it is what I have seen, and in some cases what I've been told to do. And a lot of women have said that unless the man is willing to spend a certain amount of money towards them, they are not as interested as the man claims to be. But enough about my insecurities. Let's move on with the video. Men want the purest of women who do the freakiest ish in bed, and they're seen as less of or less than if the woman they are with has had so many partners. Let me tell you this. It is not that your value decreases, ladies. It all has to do with men's insecurity. Men end up concerning themselves with, if this woman has been with so many men, they're not used. It's that, oh, what if they were with someone who has a bigger penis than I, who's taller, who's funnier, who provides more money, who is better looking than myself. They've had these experiences that maybe I haven't even had as a man when it comes to sexual experiences, and probably a bunch of other things. When a woman has had less partners or even hasn't had any partners at all, they're seen as someone that the man can control, educate, and lead or guide in this experience that brings both people pleasure and that is seen as sacred in our society. But if you are a woman who chooses to express themselves freely, wants to live their life and go on this journey and experiment and have adventures and, you know, and see what you enjoy and have these partners and not fall into this trap that society has created for you, then that's when men end up judging you and they start calling you names that aren't on your driver's license. And these words hurt, especially when they come from another woman who you would expect to support women, but instead they choosing to tear you down. And so because of this need to impress these insecure men, all these people end up tearing down this woman, and then it just ends up as a big cycle, because then the woman ends up being hurt and ends up telling other women not to do what they did in order not to be judged. And as a straight cis man, it's easy for me to tell you this, right? To ignore these insecure men who listen to Joe Rogan and who think they could be the next Kevin Samuels by starting a shitty podcast and tear you down. I forgot what this video is about. Splitting the bill. Honestly, it makes sense. Like Miss Renee said, it makes sense to split the bill. You're both investing in each other's time, in each other's presence, in whatever outcome you're both searching for or wanting, and which I suggest you discuss prior to going any further. She also asked a question that if the couple is going Dutch or splitting 50-50, is the man then going to pay 100% after the sex? That is a good question that I feel I cannot answer with confidence. I want to say now, for me, because that's not the end goal, I think it should still be whatever is discussed, which I think that's a conversation to have, because I think even in the beginning stages, if money is a part of this transaction, right, this interaction, then it needs to be discussed. I know in most cases couples discuss money in the future, but if it's an issue now, then let's talk about it right now. I'm going to end the video here. I've talked longer than I expected. I'd say check out her channel. She has some really good videos. I don't think I even addressed everything in that video. Just there was so much running through my mind watching it, and I thought it would be a good conversation starter to have. Anyway, I hope you're all doing well. I hope you are all safe and healthy. Take care of one another. Check up on each other. Check up on yourself. And remember, potential has no limit.